I wish that I could believe Skydance is going to come in and save the day. If all these productions like Starfleet Academy, and if this year one takes off, and we're stuck with this for like 3 to 5 more years, I think this is desperation of people just hoping that Skydance is going to come in because they had some sort of initiative about breaking DEI down or something, that somehow that means, that signals that it's going to change direction. I mean, maybe, but I don't think those two things necessarily go together. I would expect to hear all productions that are in the pipeline are halted right now as this merger thing is finalized and done. So there should be no more productions of year one. Whatever they filmed of Starfleet Academy, if it's not done with post-production, should be halted. If this was truly a change in direction, that's what should be done. Instead of pushing 3 more years of garbage out the door now with Skydance's logo on it.
And don't forget, everybody, Alex Kurtzman has been around for decades. He's not some new DEI hire. He's been at this for a long time. So just saying that they're getting rid of DEI initiatives isn't going to change anything. It'll probably change what's in front of the camera, and to some extent it's going to change a few of the people behind the camera. But for the most part, the people telling those people behind the camera what stories they're going to write, that's not going to change.
Alex Kurtzman is not a DEI hire, and he's a horrible writer. At least he is right now on this series.
Didn't used to be, but he is now.
The 2 people who wrote this episode, this was not good writing here. And we've seen those 2 people before, their names on episodes. Unless they clean house and get rid of all the writing staff and get rid of Kurtzman's entire production company. And if you're going to do that, then you have to shut everything down and retool. So you're probably looking at like a 5-year break as you shut down the old production and you ramp up a new production.
Oh, at least it's probably longer than that.
But if Skydance does not cease and desist all these projects right away, even in mid-production, you're done. We're doing a Batgirl tax write-off on this, you're done. Year 1, done. Starfleet Academy, done. Well, we still got some post-production. No, you go home. We're not doing any more post-production in Starfleet Academy. You're done. But they're not going to do that. They're going to put out more of this stuff. And I'm sorry, I wish that I could believe Skydance is going to come in and save the day. I wish I could believe that. I wish this year 1 would be different, because I remember in Discovery, so many people were saying, oh, I can hardly wait for this new Pike series. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. The rumors came true. We were able to have this. Well, now we're here, and look what we have. And now all of a sudden, well, yeah, Strange New World, that's that old thing now. That's not going anywhere anymore. But man, this year 1, this is the way out. Really, that's exactly what people said when Discovery was going on about Strange New Worlds. Stop falling for this stuff. Now, if Skydance comes out and halts all production and signals with actual actions what they're going to do to change direction, then I'll start believing that this is a change of direction. But so far, I have every reason to believe it's same stuff, different day. They're going to continue with Starfleet Academy. They're going to fire up this year 1. They're going to do, I don't know, Lord knows what horrible stuff to the legacy characters in year 1. And Skydance is going to be signing the checks here. I'm sorry, I've seen so many people out there talking these rumors. And until I see actions, halt, no more 3 years. We got 2 more seasons of Strange New Worlds, really? 2 more years of that, huh? And then you got what of this year 1? If that gets off the ground, people are going to say, well, that wasn't green lit yet. Well, okay, so when it gets green lit, are you going to start acknowledging that maybe we have a point and that Skydance isn't going to save things? That's awfully depressing, old man. What should we do?
I have the answer. No one is coming to save us. Not Skydance, nobody. We have to save ourselves. So here's what I think we should do. Alright, first off, Doug, if you're listening, I read your story. I liked your story. My recommendation? File off the serial numbers, do a little bit of editing, some expansion, and publish your own new intellectual property. there was someone in our comments, I think it was 2 videos ago, and he was telling us about a story that he had plotted out a number of years ago. And again, I really, really liked the premise for your story too. File off any kind of Star Trek serial numbers. And again, publish it as your own new intellectual property. I encourage everyone to do that.
Well, that's what we're getting ready to do.
Yes. I am currently writing the script for our first episode of our own animated series. I don't want to go too much into it right now, but do know that I'm the one writing it. We're going to try to have a mix of male and female characters. We're definitely not going woke. We're going to have real characters that feel like real people. And I highly recommend everyone do that. Start writing your own IP. Because that's the only way we get out of this, is by creating something that actually will speak to the common person, to other fans of science fiction. That's also been an assassination of our shared cultural heritage. The only way out of this is to create something new. And that's got to come from us, because it isn't coming from Skydance, it isn't coming from Alex Kurtzman, it's not coming from Star Trek or Star Wars or Disney or Marvel or DC. It's not coming from any of them. Everything right now is being written by people who are so far removed from the experience of what it means to be your average American, or even an average human being, that they will never be able to create something that speaks to the common person. This goes right back to all those monkeys that they had in that new Superman movie. Apparently they somehow managed to type out insults to be internet trolls. At this point, that's all we're going to get from Hollywood, is insults towards us. So you know what? We bypass them. We start writing our own stuff.
And I think that people who aren't inclined to do writing, they could at least try to support, either financially or just supporting in a bouncing ideas off of way, and to keep an open mind, because Star Trek is a great property. I grew up with it all my life. I'm sure most people listening to my voice right now, they have a similar story. It's not like I want to give up on Star Trek. I still have my Blu-rays, the original series, and I keep watching them because it still means something to me. And one day, if Star Trek does figure out how to make good stuff again, I'll jump on board with it again. So I'm not giving up on Star Trek, but I'm saying there are some people out there that they invest in one franchise and that's it. If it's not Star Trek or if it's not Star Wars, they're not going to try something else. And I would ask them, why don't you think about why you like the franchise that you do? What are the reasons? What are the story ideas? What's the philosophy? And see if any other property has those same things, because you still might get something out of a different property. It's not going to have the same scale as a universe like Star Trek or Star Wars. But if you go back and look how all those things started, they didn't start, maybe Star Wars because it was a big movie thing, but Star Trek especially, that grew out of that 3-year series, and then it had the motion picture, and then it had the Next Generation, and then in the 90s, that's when it really expanded way, way out.
Even Star Wars, it started out with one film that was supposed to be a self-contained film. So even that grew from one story. Like you said, even if you're not the writing kind, not everybody is. But you know what? Maybe you're into art. Maybe you can team up with a writer and create something.
Well, it's like what I'm doing with Molly here. Molly's doing the writing. I'm giving her ideas, science fiction ideas, kind of building the technology in the background of what the universe is going to be. And we're trying to work together as a team. So I'm trying to offer what I can do, as well as offering whatever skills I might have in offering secondary resources for animation. We're working together on this. We've never done this before. We might fall on our faces in failure, but we'd like to try. and see what happens. And I'm hoping there are people out there that at least give our stuff a chance. Yeah, it's not Star Trek. Yeah, it's not live action $100 million budget, but is there anything here that sparks any sort of interest in you? And I think there could be people teaming up all over the place with different skills that could work together on stuff.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be super duper rough. You always have to start somewhere. The key is to not give up. And it's funny because I went to a college graduation once, and the speaker was actually John Mellencamp, or Johnny Cougar, or however you know his name. But I'm sure a lot of you out there are familiar with Jack and Diane, or Small Town, or even ROCK in the USA, that John Mellencamp. He said that the only reason he got to where he is because he kept going, even when people told him he wasn't good enough. So that's the thing, everybody. Even when somebody tells you you're not good enough, if you're doing what you love, you keep doing it. Nothing ever comes out perfect the first time. You have to practice. That's what we intend to do. We're starting. Is it going to be perfect right out? No.
We may start out rough, but I guarantee you both Molly and I are going to try in every episode to get better at our new craft.
Because I look back at this channel, and I go back to the first few videos that I made, and compared to where I am now, it's such a huge difference. I started out on one software, 5 years ago now, I think.
Well, even the microphone you were using was like, it came on the Xbox 360 for some karaoke program. We were using that microphone, or you were at the very first video.
Yes, I was. I was using the microphone that I had for my Xbox 360 for karaoke. That's what I used to record my first videos for this channel. And the software I was using was Microsoft Movie Maker, which obviously you can't get anymore unless you know where to find it, or you have your own copy left from back in the day. So they certainly aren't supporting it anymore. You know, and I moved on to Shotcut after that, and then eventually I got Filmora, which is what I use now. What I do now is so much more advanced than how I started. But I kept at it, and I kept learning, and, you know, I didn't fall into the trap of being arrogant. I knew that I had to keep learning. I knew that my skills aren't the top of the top. I have something to learn with every video that I make. That's why I keep going, because every time I make a mistake or something goes wrong, I learn from that, and it makes me better. And these are things that people should be learning from Star Trek.
Or even the commenters. There have been several times commenters have talked about our production standards and offered well, maybe if you did this or that it would work better. And we did try that. I mean, we do listen to when people give, productive. Saying you suck isn't very helpful. But, hey, I had trouble hearing you, or you were doing this. Could you try this? Like, that's constructive feedback, and we usually take the feedback and we try to do something with it.
You suck gives me different motivation. It's called spite. I operate on a lot of spite. But you know what? It's gotten me to where I am. So even that is valuable, though that's not an invitation to tell me that I suck. But I want people to know that it's okay to start something and for it to not be perfect. Or even to feel like a failure when you first start out. I think that's what they were trying to get across in this episode with Newkirk and his, I guess, first command of a starship.
He wasn't the born great leader that you saw in TOS.
Ugh. But I think that's what they were actually trying to get across. And I would argue there are better ways to get that across, which is why we're telling you about this stuff right now. Because we want you guys to feel motivated to try new things, to change the way that storytelling works right now, to have it be more of a reflection of the common person and not what these elites in Hollywood think we should be consuming or what they think they know about us. It's insulting, actually, most of what they write for us.
Well, that's where we are right now, is people are listening to us, channels like us, I don't want to say just us, because YouTube and other platforms too, but they offer a direct pathway to other people like yourself. What Hollywood is making right now is meant for other rich people. It used to be back in the day that Hollywood was tasked with the job of entertaining the whole population. And now they don't care about the whole population. They're making this entertainment just for other people like themselves.
And I think a lot of it is virtue signaling too, which I know a lot of people I used to call friends would be upset when I refer to it that way, but I think that's exactly what it is, because they use groups and ideas to make themselves look better than what they are. They don't actually care about those people or their plight or anything really other than trying to get attention for themselves. That certainly is not something that we condone. I don't endorse it. I don't like having it peddled to me because it always, and I mean it always, feels condescending.
I'm better than you because I believe in this, this, and this. I'm a better person than you. Okay, you don't even believe that stuff. You just figured out some magical words to say to make yourself feel like you're a better person. And that's what virtue signaling is, and that's what we call out here. Because if they actually did believe the stuff they were pushing, Molly and I probably believe in a lot of the same stuff as far as wordings go. There's a reason we watch Star Trek. Star Trek used to promote a lot of the values that both Molly and I believe in.
I think the thing is that the people who write this stuff and the people who think it's great, I think that deep down inside they know that they don't actually believe that stuff. It's just bullshit when they virtue signal like that. I think the mistake that they make is thinking that everyone else is like them. We're not. So when someone comes along who actually practices what they preach, that's a huge threat to these people. And they will lash out because they can't tolerate someone being actually the thing that they're pretending to be. Because you're a threat to them.
Well, I think that's why, going back to this episode, they're determined to destroy James T. Kirk. Because James T. Kirk represents some qualities that I don't think they want to promote anymore in pop culture. I think they're good qualities, by the way. Being a good leader, having morality, being open-minded to listening to different points of view. Yeah, there were some episodes where Kirk, like in Arena, was very single-focused. But then he learned a lesson at the end there that maybe he should have rounded his opinion circle a bit more. And the same with Spock. Spock also represents a certain piece of culture that we can't have anymore. A strong intellectual male, you can't have that anymore. And you can read into that what that means for society. I have my own theories, but I'm not going to peddle them on the channel. Go to Doctor Who and look what they're doing to Doctor Who. Doctor Who used to be a very fine role model for young people in the UK. And look at what Doctor Who is now.
Oh, when I was a kid, granted I came to this years after it originally came out, but I worshipped Luke Skywalker. I thought he was just the greatest thing ever. His story and just who the character was. Those sequel films were garbage. To me, Star Trek was meant for television. It was meant to be a series kind of show. And so the films, I was just like, whatever. But then they started with Discovery. Like, I can't believe what pop culture has become. It's so difficult to accept where we are now, but here we are.
They started with a mutiny. That's how their show started off. Star Trek had been not around since 2005 on television, since Enterprise went off the air. And how did they introduce Star Trek back to television? With a mutiny. And then a bunch of war crimes after that, and torturing an animal. That's what Star Trek came out of the gate doing in that first season. And I don't know, maybe our culture is that now. I don't know. I'm not young anymore, so I don't know what young people are. I would like to think they're not these amoral, dangerous things running around the world. I think that's just what the Hollywood people are painting the youth as. And like I said in this episode, you can't talk about the Grateful Dead and still pretend that you're targeting Gen Z. And those of us in Gen X, we're already sniffing your bullcrap out. You gotta try to go after the Gen Zs if you want to try to fool somebody, because who do you think you're crapping here?
Well, and it's got to be the older alphas, too. Because Gen Z, I think the oldest ones are now like 30. So I think the youngest are like 15 or 16. So it's those Gen Alphas that are like 15 years old and younger at this point.
Here's a thought. Instead of trying to go on TikTok and figure out what trend young people might like, why don't you just make good television? Good storytelling should be immune to the passage of time. Yeah, the styles and the haircuts are going to be a bit different, the clothing and maybe even some of the vocabulary, but story elements should be timeless.
We still read about Ulysses, we still read about Oedipus, we still read Shakespeare. Yeah, like you just said, good storytelling should be timeless, especially given how, we'll just say, inaccessible Shakespearean English really is. But again, it's good storytelling. That's why it's still around.
I do not think that Gen Z and Alphas are anywhere near as stupid as they're being pandered to. Because if you went by what Hollywood is giving that generation, or those generations, you would think they are the dumbest human beings to have ever walked on the planet. And I don't think that at all. I actually think there's lots of Gen Z and Alphas out there that are actually quite intelligent, and they're quietly sitting behind the scenes going, yeah, we know this is crap. But we also don't hang out on TikTok like the idiots on TikTok. And so I like to think that out there are a whole bunch from that generation that are disgusted with their generation as being pandered to as the stupidest generations to have ever existed on the planet. Hopefully they're looking to seek out stuff that doesn't insult their intelligence. And going back and watching some of the older stuff, I realize it's not of your generation, but at least your mind won't be insulted. That's the only advice I can give you. I wish there was new stuff. It's not like I want to sit inside my room and just watch my old Star Trek Blu-rays from the 1960s. I would love to watch new stuff. I keep trying new stuff. I'll try fan films. I'll try anything that's out there. A new TV series starts up that's not even related to any existing series. I'll try it. Why? Because you never know. You never know if you'll find something good. I have found so many shows by just trying it. Not even thinking I was going to like it, but I'll give it a shot. And it turns out, oh my gosh, that actually it tickled something inside of me. I liked what I watched there. That's why it's important, I think, for people to keep an open mind. So when we soon are going to put out our production, or when other people do that, try to keep an open mind. Try to not necessarily see what's in front of you, but is there anything in that production that you could see growing to be something bigger? And try to get on board at the ground level with the productions with that. And I'm not just saying this just for our production. There are plenty of other people out there that are trying to do this. So if you find a production that you think reflects some of your values, try to support it the best you can. Now, don't go stupid and, hey, I'm going to mortgage my house and give this production all this. No, don't do that. But you know what? If you can offer some feedback support, or if somebody sets up a Patreon or a Kickstarter and you can afford $10 or whatever, do what you can to try to help out smaller stuff to see if you can get them off the ground. Even
if it's just word of mouth. If you find something good, share it. Yep. Share it with other people. Because not everybody has money. Hell, we don't have any kind of Patreon or anything like that, so we're trying to do this all on our own.
We were all excited. What was it? A couple of weeks ago, somebody gave us a gift with a little $sign by it.
We got $5.
And Molly was like, what the heck is this? Because I've never seen that icon before.
Yeah. So, that was exciting. But we're hoping what we're starting here is the start of something much bigger than ourselves. That we just want things to be better. Now, this isn't even about, we want what we want. No, we remember when things were better. And I don't want to return to what we had before because that's what got us to where we are. I want something better.
There's got to be a better way forward. The path that Hollywood's taking us down is a path of self-destruction. All these franchises are burning for a reason. They don't know how to tell stories. And they are being paid to tell stories. So when you're being paid to tell stories and you can't tell stories, that's the definition of incompetent. You're not good at your job. And they're not going to listen to us. We can complain all we want. We can go to Rotten Tomatoes and give all the ones out there we want, but they're not going to change direction. And hoping that a company like Skydance coming in is going to be the savior, I wouldn't do that. If it turns out that's the case, that's wonderful. But I would not count on that. I would not count on that at all.
I wish that were the case, but I don't think that there is even the slimmest possibility that that's going to happen. I don't. Like I said, I don't think anybody's coming to save us. We have to save ourselves. I also want to say we have to save each other. This isn't just a me thing. It's us. Not me, us. So that's just how I see things. That's how I've always seen things. But that's probably the Star Trek in me. The real Star Trek.